Hello, John Feldt here. Welcome to the weekly water outlook for the Southeast U.S., October 13th, 2013. Well, here's the setup this week. We have an area of high pressure pushing up into the Midwest. Ahead of that, we have quite a bit of moisture, this area in green here, and then here's that surface front. It looks like most of this moisture, which is streaming around this high pressure, will stay just ahead of this front and not make it into the Southeast U.S., with the exception of parts of Mississippi, maybe a very small part of the Florida Panhandle, as well as far western Arkansas. For the most part, the heavy rain this week will be associated in Texas into parts of Oklahoma. And the reason for that is we get this feed of moisture off the Pacific. So not only do we have low-level moisture, we have mid and high-level moisture. You hear me sort of talk about this quite a bit, is when you have the entire atmospheric column loaded with moisture is when you get your chance of heavier rain. Look at the Southeast U.S. We have dark colors here, black. That means it's dry at mid and high levels. To get the most extensive rain, we'd want this to be bright white. Okay, so let's go back and look at the last 7 days. There were a few pockets of heavier rain around Atlanta, Montgomery, parts of the Carolinas. You can see the areas in yellow are indicating about 2 inches of rain, and there's some very, very small spots, a bit heavier, some heavier rain along the coast as well. And then as we get up into Virginia, right along the eastern part of Virginia, we see some heavy rain, soaking rain over the last couple days. On the other hand, you're going to see a lot more of this blue, and that's light amounts of rain, generally up to about a ½ inch. Thus, when we look at the percent of normal for the last 7 days, sort of a mixed pattern here. Some blues and purples, which represent above normal, and some areas in red and yellow below normal. Hard for me to eyeball sort of the percentages here. I'd say there's probably a little bit more below normal precipitation over the Southeast U.S. over the last 7 days than above normal. Tropics remain unusually quiet. We're in that time of the year when there can be a little bit, very modest flare up again, and then it really drops out. I've been reading a few things, and I really think that maybe one of the reasons that this lack of activity was due to unusually dry air. I don't think it was necessarily sea surface temperatures. I think it was just basically some drier mid and upper level air. But I'll be looking into that a lot more and then passing along some information on that most likely at the end of the season. But we really don't see much at all right now, very little, and I really don't anticipate any more tropical activity over the Southeast U.S. this season. Okay, so here are the current steering winds, the jet stream pattern. You can see the core of winds, and one of the things I'm going to be looking at very closely here and talking about more is that core of strongest winds. Now keep in mind, strong winds correspond very closely to upper atmospheric energy. That's what you need oftentimes to produce precipitation. So right now, the areas in yellow there represent the strongest winds, green, more modest winds. You can see really it's well to our north. That's why we have very little support aloft. Looks like a quiet period, quiet fall weather over the Southeast U.S. If we look at the jet stream forecast this week, it remains to the north of our region. There is an area here, this is the area of core of upper atmospheric energy. It's going to break off in 2 parts, one well to our north, another one coming across Texas. And this is the one, even though it'll weaken as it gets towards the southeast, could brush parts of the southeast with some modest energy here, and maybe some precipitation over far west parts of the Southeast U.S. That's pretty much it for this week. Now I wanted to look out a little bit farther out to see if I saw anything of interest. This is the 6 to 10 day, October 18th through the 22nd. And look at those dashed blue lines. That's saying that the jet stream is unusually far south or dipping to the south for this time of year. But over the Southeast U.S., look at this. You see a blue line, a purple line, which is near normal, and a red, which is above normal. And that's saying pretty much near normal conditions for this time of year over the Southeast U.S. So the precipitation forecast for the next 7 days, pretty much dry. No rain at all over large parts of the Southeast U.S. Looks like some of the heavier rain could brush parts of far western Mississippi, maybe some enhancement of rain over higher elevations, but really even that looks very light. Looks like a quiet, relatively nice weather over the southeast U.S., not just the next 7 days, but most likely most of the month. Matter of fact, this goes into later in the month, cumulative precipitation, and I wanted to sort of point out here is this light green and especially the blue is indicating very light amounts of precipitation. Maybe I could actually sort of draw that in here and sort of using a pretty loosely drawn here, very light amount of rain in that area. Okay, so that is reflective on the precipitation and temperature outlook for the 20th through 26th. I mentioned we were going to be on the boundary with that cooler air to the north, warmer air to the south. Average that out, you come up with near normal. Likewise with precipitation, equal chances for above or below normal. So basically, I don't want to take too long on this week's briefing because you know me, I will definitely be expanding these as we get into winter and spring. But right now, it looks like a quiet fall weather pattern this week, likely to continue right through the rest of October. If I see any changes to this, I'll certainly pass them along. I'm working on my winter outlook. We'll be getting that out in a couple weeks. And if not, enjoy the nice weather. I'll be talking with you again next week.